Good evening students. In the last class we discussed about the synopsis related to the chapter atoms. Now in today's class we are going to solve the exercise questions related to the atoms. So see here, what are the important formulas from this chapter? First formula, that is radius of the nth orbit. Okay, already we discussed about this one in the synopsis class. Now the radius of the nth orbit is directly proportional to the square of principal quantum number and inversely proportional to atomic number. Okay, so the radius of the nth orbit is directly proportional to the square of principal quantum number and inversely proportional to atomic number. See here, Rn is directly proportional to n square and Rn is inversely proportional to Z. So where Z is atomic number and n is principal quantum number, otherwise you can say it is a orbital number. So next one, velocity of the electron in the nth orbit, that is Vn is directly proportional to Z and inversely proportional to n. See here, the velocity of the electron in the nth orbit is directly proportional to atomic number and inversely proportional to principal quantum number. So velocity of the electron in the nth orbit is directly proportional to atomic number and the velocity of the electron in the nth orbit is inversely proportional to principal quantum number. So this is the second formula. Next one, the time period of revolution of an electron in the nth orbit. So that time period is directly proportional to n cube and inversely proportional to z square. So inversely proportional to z square. Now see here, the time period of revolution of an electron in the nth orbit, so that is directly proportional to the cube of principal quantum number and the time period is inversely proportional to the square of atomic number, the square of atomic number. Now next formula, that is energy of the electron in the nth orbit. So that is En is directly proportional to z square and inversely proportional to n square. Directly proportional to z square and inversely proportional to n square. Now here, the energy of the electron in the nth orbit is directly proportional to z square and inversely proportional to n square. And inversely proportional to n square. Then what is the expression to find the energy of the electron in the nth orbit? That is En is equal to, that is En is equal to minus 13.6 z square by n square. So energy of the electron in the nth orbit can be written as minus 13.6 into z square divided by n square, and here the energy can be measured in electron volt. So what is the value of 1 electron volt? That is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joule. So see here, as n increases, the energy of the electron also increases, because see here, as n increases, 1 by n square decreases, 1 by n square decreases, but as 1 by n square decreases, but minus of 1 by n square increases, minus of 1 by n square increases. Hence, so as n increases, minus 1 by n square increases, hence the energy of the electron also increases. So next formula, that is the distance of closest approach. So what is the formula for the distance of closest approach? That is R naught is equal to Z square divided by 2 pi epsilon naught, 2 pi epsilon naught mv square, mv square. See here, the distance of closest approach is inversely proportional to mass, is inversely proportional to mass. So based on these all formulas, we are going to solve the exercise questions. Now what is the first question? So question number 1, when an alpha particle of mass m moving with velocity v bombards on a heavy nucleus of charge Zi, its distance of closest approach from the nucleus depends on m as, first option is, so that is 1 by m square, second option m, third option 1 by m, and last option 1 by square root of m. See here, the distance of closest approach depends on m. How it depends on m? Whether it is directly proportional to 1 by m square, or whether it is directly proportional to m, or whether it is directly proportional to 1 by m, or it is directly proportional to 1 by root m. See here, which is the answer now, solution. Already we know that what is the expression for the distance of closest approach, that is r naught is equal to z square 2 pi epsilon naught into mv square. Now see here, how the distance of closest approach related to the mass. Okay, what is the question here? The distance of closest approach from the nucleus depends on m as, means r naught is directly proportional to 1 by m, otherwise r naught is inversely proportional to m. Then what is the answer now? R naught is directly proportional to 1 by m. Then option C is correct. Option C is correct. Okay. Now let us move to the next question. In a Rutherford scattering experiment, when a projectile of charge Z1 and mass m1 approaches a target nucleus of charge Z2 and mass m2, the distance of closest approach is r naught. The energy of projectile is, means what we have to find? We have to find the energy of the projectile. Here options are, first option directly proportional to Z1 into Z2, inversely proportional to Z1, and third option directly proportional to the mass m1, and the last option directly proportional to the product of m1 and m2. See here. So in Rutherford scattering experiment, a projectile of charge Z1 and mass m1 approaches a target nucleus of charge Z2 and mass m2. The distance of closest approach is r naught. The energy of projectile is here. This is an atom. This is an atom, and this is a nucleus. And here the charge on the target nucleus is given, that is Z2. Charge on the target nucleus, that is Z2. And the charge on the bombarding particle, that is Z1. That is Z1. Now, when it comes close to the nucleus when it comes close to the nucleus, the energy of this particle becomes potential energy. Means the energy of this bombarding particle becomes potential energy. Now, the distance of this particle from the nucleus is called the distance of closest approach, that can be represented by r naught. That can be represented by r naught. Now, what is the expression for potential energy? Energy of the particle becomes potential energy. Then what is the expression for potential energy? That is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 into q2 divided by the distance. So what is the distance of the this particle from the nucleus? That is r naught. That can be taken as r naught. And the charge on the bombarding particle given, that is Z1. That is Z1. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Charge on the bombarding particle, that is Z1. And charge on the target nucleus. Here Q1 is the charge on the bombarding particle and Q2 is the charge on the target nucleus. So what is the charge on the target nucleus? That is Z2, and divided by the distance of closest approach. See here, the energy is directly proportional to Z1 into Z2. The energy is directly proportional to Z1 into Z2. Then first option is the correct answer. Now option 1. Option 1 is the correct. So this is about the solution related to the second question. Now let us move to the third question. An electron is moving around the nucleus of a hydrogen atom in a circular orbit of radius r. The Coulomb force between the two is. What we have to find here? We have to find the Coulomb force between the moving electron and the nucleus. Moving electron and the nucleus. So what is the expression for Coulomb force? According to Coulomb's law, F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Charge on the revolving electron into charge on the nucleus divided by the distance between them, that can be given, that is r, and the square of distance. This is Coulomb's law. and we can write this is in vector form. How to write this is in vector form? Vector F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 into q2 divided by, so r square as it is into unit vector r cap, because we are going to write this Coulomb force in terms of vector form. If we want to write this one in vector form, we have to multiply unit vector. Now see here, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 into q2 divided by r square. So what is the definition of unit vector? The definition of unit vector is, that is r cap is equal to the vector r divided by the magnitude of vector r. Means vector r divided by the magnitude of vector r can be written as r. Then I will replace r cap by the vector r divided by the magnitude of vector r. So vector r divided by r. Then this can be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So charge on the electron, that is minus e, and charge on the hydrogen nucleus. Which atom is given here? Hydrogen atom is given. What is the charge on the hydrogen atom? That is plus e, because hydrogen atom having the nucleus, in that nucleus there is only one proton, but there is no neutron. Hence that is why the charge on the hydrogen nucleus is plus e divided by r square into r, that is r cube into vector r. Now what about answer here? That is, the answer is, I will take 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught as k, then vector f is equal to k. So minus into plus minus, so I will write it is minus of k, then e into e, that is e square divided by r cube into vector r. Then this is the Coulomb force between the revolving electron and the nucleus. So what is the charge on the hydrogen nucleus? That is plus Ze. Then how many protons present in hydrogen nucleus? There is only one proton. That is why the charge on the hydrogen nucleus is plus e. See here, charge on hydrogen nucleus. So that can be written as q2. I will write that one as q2. Then q2 is equal to plus Ze. Then here there are how many protons present in the hydrogen nucleus? There is only one proton. That is why Z is replaced by 1. Then it can be taken as plus e. And similarly, charge on an electron, that is minus of e, that is q1. Q1 is equal to minus e. Then this is the answer, means Coulomb force between the revolving electron and the hydrogen nucleus. So options, first option, k e square into unit vector r divided by r square. Second option, minus k e square into unit vector r divided by r cube. Then third option, k e square into vector r divided by r cube. Then last option, minus k e square into vector r divided by r cube. Then what is the answer now? Minus k e square by r cube into vector r, means option 4 is the correct one. Option 4 is correct. So this is the answer. Next one. The ratio of wavelength of the last line of Balmer series and last line of Lyman series is, what we have to find here? We have to find the ratio of last line of Balmer series and last line of Lyman series. Last line means here the transition from infinity to ground orbit. See here, the wavelength of last line of which series? Last line of Balmer series. Then how to find the wavelength of the last line of Balmer series? By using the formula, that is 1 by lambda is equal to r square into z into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. So 1 by lambda, that is this is for Balmer series. So r into z square into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. So which is the ground orbit in Balmer series? That is second orbit. Okay, because which series is given? Balmer series is given. Then I will write r into z square, then it is 1 by n1 square means 2 square. 2 square is 4. Then so last line means here the transition from infinite orbit to the ground orbit. Which is the ground orbit in Balmer series? The ground orbit in the Balmer series is second orbit. Then its square, that is 4. Then 1 by 4 minus 1 by infinity. 1 by infinity is 0. 1 by infinity is 0. Then I will write it is rz square by 4. This is 1 by lambda b. But we need lambda b, means the wavelength of last line of the Balmer series. That is lambda b is equal to 4 by rz square. 4 by rz square. Just interchanging the numerators and denominators on both sides. So next one, the wavelength of last line of Lehmann series. Lehmann series. Lehmann series. Okay. Then what is the formula used to find the wavelength of the last line now? So that is 1 by lambda L. Lambda L is nothing but it is the wavelength of last line in Lehmann series. Then 1 by lambda L r into z square, 1 by n1 square, which is the ground orbit in case of Lehmann series. First orbit is the ground orbit. Now n1 can be taken as 1, then 1 square is again 1, then 1 by 1 minus of 0, because the transition from infinity to ground orbit. Okay, so that gives the wavelength of the last line. Now this can be written as rz square by 1. So simply it is rz square. Now it is 1 by lambda L, but lambda L is equal to 1 by rz square. 1 by rz square. But what is our aim? Our aim is to find the ratio of the wavelength of last line in Balmer series to the wavelength of last line in Lehmann series. So that is lambda b by lambda L. So let us take lambda b by lambda L. Wavelength of last line in Balmer series divided by wavelength of last line in Lehmann series. What about wavelength of last line in Balmer series? That is 4 by rz square, and the wavelength of last line in Lehmann series is 1 by rz square. Then these two get cancelled, 1 by rz square get cancelled, then it is 4. Then what is the ratio here? Ratio is 4, or otherwise it can be 4:1. Then options, first option 1, second option 4, third option 0.5, and last option is 2. Then which is the correct option here? Option 2 is correct. So next question, given the value of Rydberg constant is 10 to the power of 7 per meter, the wave number of the last line of the Balmer series in hydrogen spectrum will be. What we have to find? The wave number of last line of the Balmer series in hydrogen spectrum will be. See here. Solution. So wave number is nothing but it is the reciprocal of wavelength. So what is wave number? Wave number is nothing but it is the reciprocal of wavelength. Now what we have to find? We have to find the wavelength of last line in Balmer series, because which series is given? Balmer series is given. Now how to find that one? So 1 by lambda is equal to, that is rz square, 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. So this is the formula used to find the wavelength of the spectral line, okay, in the given series. Then 1 by lambda is equal to r into z square, 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. But for the hydrogen atom, the atomic number is 1. Atomic number is 1. So we can write it is r into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. Now see here, we have to find the wave number of last line of the Balmer series. Last line means here the transition from where to where? The transition is from infinity to 2. Infinity to 2. The transition is from infinity to 2, because the ground orbit in the Balmer series is 2. For the last line the transition must be from where to where, that is from infinity to 2. So let us put these values in this equation. R value given, that is 10 to the power of 7 whole divided by 10 to the power of 7 into 1 by, so n1 square means here 2 square, 2 square is 4 minus 1 by infinity. So 1 by infinity is 0, hence 10 to the power of 7 by 4. 10 to the power of 7 by 4 means 1 by 4 is 0.25. 0.25 into 10 to the power of 7. So this is the wave number. And what is the unit here? Unit is per meter. Then what is the wave number of last line in Balmer series? That is 0.25 into 10 to the power of 7 per meter. So this is the answer. Options. First option 0.25 into 10 to the power of 7 per meter. Second option 2.5 into 10 to the power of 7 per meter. Third option 0.025 into 10 to the power of 4 per meter. And last option, that is 0.5 into 10 to the power of 7 per meter. So first option is the correct. Option 1 is correct. Okay. Now next question. Next question is ratio of longest wavelengths corresponding to Lehman and Balmer series in hydrogen spectrum is. So first option 7:29, second option 9:31, third option 5:27, and last option 5:23. So we have to find which is the correct one. Okay, see here the ratio of longest wavelengths corresponding to Lehman and Balmer. First we have to find the longest wavelength in Lehman series. Solution. So what is the condition for the longest wavelength? The transition must be from nearest orbit to the ground orbit. First we have to find the longest wavelength in which series? Lehman series. So that is 1 by lambda L. So it is the wavelength of the longest wavelength in which series? Lehman series. L stands for here Lehman series. Then hydrogen spectrum. Hydrogen spectrum is the atomic number for hydrogen is 1. So we can write that is R, Z is 1, then 1 by N1 square minus 1 by N2 square. 1 by N1 square minus 1 by N2 square. So for the longest wavelength, the transition must be from nearest orbit to the ground orbit. Which is the ground orbit in Lehman series? That is 1. N1 is 1. And the nearest orbit for the first orbit is, that is 2. That is 2. So let us put these two values in this equation. We will get R into 1 by N1 square. N1 square means 1 square. 1 square as it is 1, hence it is 1. It is 1 minus 1 by N2 square. 1 by N2 square means it is 1 by 4. 1 by 4. Then on solving this one, what is LCM here? LCM is 4. Then 4 minus of 1, that is 3. Then it is 3 by 4. So it is the longest wavelength in which series? Lehman series. But we need lambda L. We need lambda L. Then lambda L is equal to 4 by 3R. 4 by 3R. Okay. So this is the longest wavelength in which series? This is in Lehman series. And also we have to find the longest wavelength in Balmer series. So how to find the longest wavelength in Balmer series? So the transition must be from, for the longest wavelength in Balmer series, the transition must be from 3 to 2. 3 to 2, nearest orbit to the ground orbit. Which is ground orbit in Balmer series? 2. And the nearest orbit for the 2 is 3. Now let us take N1 as 2 and N2 as 3. Then now, so 1 by lambda B, that is equal to R into, so 1 by N1 square means 1 by 2 square. 1 by 2 square is 1 by 4 minus 1 by N2 square. N2 square means here 3 square. 3 square is 9. It is 1 by 9. What is LCM here? LCM is 36. R into 36. Sorry, R into 1 by 36. Now let us take, so 9 minus of 4, 9 minus of 4, that is 5, means R into 5 divided by 36, but it is 1 by lambda B. But what we need? We need lambda B. then lambda b is equal to 36 divided by 5r. 36 divided by 5r. But what is our aim? Our aim is to find the ratio of longest wavelength in Lyman series and the longest wavelength in Balmer series, means lambda L by lambda b. Lambda L by lambda b. Lambda L by lambda b. So what about lambda L? That is 4 by 3r. 4 by 3r. Then what about lambda b? That is 36 by 5r. 36 by 5r. Then 1 by r get cancel here. 1 by r get cancel. Then it is 4 by 3 into 5 by 36. 5 by 36. So see here, 4 9s are 36 and 9 3s are 27. Then it is 5 is to 27. 5 is to 27. This is the answer. So third option is the correct. That is 5 is to 27. Option 3 is correct. Now next question. The wavelength of first line of Lyman series for hydrogen atom is equal to that of the second line of Balmer series for hydrogen like ion. Hydrogen like ion means it may be He plus or it may be Li double plus. Okay, whatever. Now, so the atomic number Z of the hydrogen like ion is what we have to find? We have to find the atomic number of that hydrogen like ion. So options given, first option 3, second option 4, third option 1 and last option 2, which is the correct one we have to find. So the wavelength of first line of Lyman series for hydrogen atom is equal to the wavelength of the second line of Balmer series for a hydrogen like ion. Here. Solution. First one, we have to write the wavelength of first line of Lyman series for hydrogen atom, that is 1 by lambda, that is equal to 1 by lambda, that is equal to r into z square, 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. For the first line, the transition must be from 2 to 1 because it is which series? This is Lyman series. Hence, so the transition is from where to where? That is from 2 to 1. 2 to 1. So let us substitute n1 and n2 value in this equation. Now, but for the hydrogen atom, Z is 1. Z is 1. Then R into 1 square, that is again 1. Then 1 by n1 square. n1 square means here 1 square. 1 square is again it is 1. Then 1 by 1 is it is 1. Hence it is 1. Minus 1 by 2 square, that is 4. 1 by 2 square, that is 4. Then on simplifying this one, we will get this is r into 3 by 4. R into 3 by 4. Then this is 1 by lambda. Then what is lambda here? Lambda is the wavelength of first line in Lyman series. Then wavelength of second line in Balmer series. I will write that is 1 by lambda dash. 1 by lambda dash. That is equal to. So we don't know the atomic number of that hydrogen like ion. That we have to find. Now r into z square. I will take it is r into z square. Then for the second line in Balmer series, the transition must be from where to where? That is from 4 to 2 for the second line. So the transition must be from 4 to 2. But for the first line in case of Balmer series, the transition must be from 3 to 2. But here it is this second line. The transition must be from 4 to 2. Hence it can be written as 1 by 2 square. 2 square is 4 minus 1 by 4 square, that is 16. So what is LCM here? LCM is 16. Now r into z square, LCM is 16. Now 4 4s are 16 and 16 1s are, then it is 3 by 16. 4 4s are 16 and 16 1s are 16. Then 4 into 1, that is 4, and 1 into 1, that is 1. 4 minus of 1, that is 3. 3 by 16. Then it is 1 by lambda dash. But here what is the condition given? The wavelength of first line in Balmer series is equal to the wavelength of first line in Lyman series is equal to the wavelength of second line in Balmer series. Means 1 by lambda and 1 by lambda dash both are equal. Both are equal. Hence let us replace 1 by lambda is equal to 1 by lambda dash. So what is lambda here? Lambda is the wavelength of first line in Lehman series, and what is lambda dash? It is the wavelength of second line in Balmer series, and both are equal. That is why 1 by lambda is equal to 1 by lambda dash. What about 1 by lambda? This is 3r by 4. 3r by 4. Then what about 1 by lambda dash? That is r into z square 3 by 16. 3 by 16. So let us solve this one. What get cancelled? R get cancelled. Then 3 get cancelled. Then 1 by 4 is equal to z square by 16. Z square by 16. So I will take 16 to the left hand side, that comes to the numerator. 16 by 4. Then z square. What about 16 by 4? 16 by 4 is 4, and the z square is equal to 4. Then z is equal to square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. Then what is the atomic number of hydrogen like ion here? That is 2. Hence it is helium. It is helium because atomic number for helium is how much? That is 2. So next question. The total energy of an electron in an atom in an orbit is minus 3.4 electron volt. Its kinetic energy and potential energies are respectively. So what is given? The total energy of an electron in an atom in orbit is minus 3.4 electron volt. Its kinetic energy and potential energies are respectively. So see here. One thing remember, the kinetic energy is equal to the total energy of the electron, the mode of total energy of the electron in the given orbit. Now, what is the total energy of the electron in the given orbit? That is minus 3.4 electron volt. Mode of minus 3.4 electron volt. So, here the mode of negative, that gives positive. Hence, it is 3.4 electron volt. Because kinetic energy is always positive. One thing remember, the kinetic energy of the revolving electron in the nth orbit must be equal to the total energy of the electron in the nth orbit. Okay, but the kinetic energy is always positive. So what is the total energy of the electron in the nth orbit? That is 3.4 electron volt. And also what we have to find? We have to find the potential energy. And also we have to find potential energy. See here, potential energy is 2 times of kinetic energy. Is 2 times of kinetic energy. Okay. So remember these two. Kinetic energy is equal to the mode of total energy, and potential energy is 2 times of kinetic energy. Now 2 into 3.4. 2 into 3.4, that is 6.8. But potential energy is negative. But potential energy is negative, that is why minus 6.8 electron volt. So what is the kinetic energy of the electron in the given orbit? That is 3.4 electron volt. And what about the potential energy of the electron in the given orbit? That is minus 6.8 electron volt. So options, first option 3.4 electron volt, 3.4 electron volt. In the second option, minus 3.4 electron volt, minus 3.4 electron volt. In third option, so minus 3.4 electron volt and minus 6.8 electron volt. In the last option, 3.4 electron volt minus 6.8 electron volt. Means the kinetic energy is 3.4 electron volt, but the potential energy is minus 6.8 electron volt. Means option 4 is the correct. Option 4 is correct. Okay, this is the required answer for the